What's going on, YouTube? We're going to look at M2 in this episode. Well, M2, sometimes awesome, sometimes not so awesome. You can't fault them for all the subject material they put out. They're very ambitious. I mean, for usually a little bit more on the price tag. Typically, if you're good shopping at for Autoball Greenlight, under $6. M2 is over the $6 mark, probably up to $8 on a lot of them, especially with the licensing, the special licensing ones and the special editions. And then you can't forget the transport and the trailers and all this. So the multiple car packs, they can be up to 17 to $20. So big swing. But what are we getting? Well, like I said, they're very ambitious. They try to make a lot of opening parts, a lot of different scaled tires. They try to make different chassis. Very old school in terms of older vehicles. So they like the early cars, like the 40s, 50s, 60s cars, American vehicles, not a lot of foreign cars. They're starting to break out of that, as we've seen. We've seen Fox body and square body trucks. So it just depends on kind of age group of the diecast collector. Seems who's collecting more than what else. But let's just go through it. This is an old casting, but one I never had, and it was an attractive package. So the reason that they got me on this one was because of the card art. I liked the original ad stuff. 58 was a completely new car. 283 8-cylinder, I think, was available. That kind of stuff. So this is supposed to be a high spec, I think, like Impala car. It's in buttercream. Look at this. We're gonna go around the car before I point it out. See if you can see a mistake that they did. Typical M2. They got very skinny tires for their 50s cars when they do the factory stock. Another thing that M2 does, huge wheel wells because they can have very large tires. So, and again, their plate system where they can swap out the track of the rear axle. This comes out, you can make a smaller one, bigger one, whatever. So sometimes you can't swap in their biggest tires unless you have the correct chassis, unless you want to cut through it. I like the rear deck is looking good. It's very soft, meaning that, I don't know, the hood seems a little narrow. It frowns a little bit. Crooked bumper, so like the whole thing gets thrown off when you look at it. Even though this car had rounded edges, a lot of it was you have to have everything perpendicular and parallel to itself, even though it's curved, because it throws the whole car off. This whole car looks like it's sagging on end to end, and it shouldn't feel like that when you look at it. I still think it's cool. I mean, it's funny, they try to do a factory color, but it's always metallic flake, which I thought was funny. Let's see if we can get it to pick up. Yeah, you can see it there. So it's like a factory shade, but they always do that metallic. And it's probably because it lays better, or it could be cheaper, or whatever. So we got the big spinner hubcaps. And that can be used for a lot of different 50s cars that they'll do. It's close to Impala, or Chevy. Bel Air. This is Impala Bel Air, I guess. Yeah, Bel Air would be the top spec, excuse me. So there's a insignia here. So yeah, this says Impala. I think Impala trim level came out in 58. I think that was the first year for it. So anyway, yeah, so I was right. Cross flags. It's got the Chevrolet on the back. I like the taillights. That looks good. I mean, they could be detailed better. Now look at the front. Now what is that? That looks like Cadillac to me. So I thought that was kind of funny. Maybe they're getting confused about what they were building at the factory. But yeah, look at this thing. It's hilarious. Alright, so we spent a little time on this. The other thing, hood, I don't think the hood opens. Yeah, it's shut. Hood's shut. So not much. Older casting. much older. Okay, so we saw this. Got 50s theme. I got the trucks out because this is another one that grabbed me, but I actually like the vehicle more than the advertisement. Got the old coupon through Hobby Lobby, but this one was hanging the pegs. I love the factory stock exterior. It looks really good. I guess when I was looking at my encyclopedia, actually I picked up this encyclopedia really cheap on these General Motors vehicles. This Chevrolet, so this is just Chevrolet specific trucks encyclopedia. I'm going to turn to a page on this so you know where I get my... Some of the info is good when you get it off the internet, and this was kind of like a book made by a guy that had some pretty good information. It's kind of more like a insider's thing. They talk about sales figures too, and sometimes they'll bring up year by year how the economy is doing, opening up the season, so the reason for more or less production, that kind of sometimes can pay into it, so it's kind of interesting. But anyway, this is really cool. This is I think my first two-wheel drive one of these. These are always the ones that catch my eye. This one seems to be hard to find now, but I like this one, the fleet side. And then here's another four-wheel drive. So I guess 57 was a factory option. I mean, you can get four-wheel drive before that, but it wasn't as easy to do as a kind of like upfit. So I like the hubcaps on this a lot. Tires look really good. And unless there was special trim, like a custom trim, or I guess there was a C30, so 1 ton, that would have been chrome, but most of them are painted, and I kind of like the way that looks a lot. So they did a good job. This is one of my favorite castings to run to. That's why I kind of took my other ones down, just so we can have them all together. Apache. Look at that. On the base plate, they're just calling Apache Stepside, so I don't know if I can guess or even attempt to see if that's a 10 or a 30 or whatever. But even though it's their wheels that they just paint and make it look like a Steely, it works okay. You know, outside of magnification, I mean, it's good. So I just took off the base, never played with this truck yet. One of the ones, the wheels and tires that they do pretty well are these. You could see how big the post is when they push on the axle. So typically these vehicles roll pretty good, which is pleasing. This one didn't need a lot of touch up. I think it's been in the car a minute. It's got a little rub on there. But the dark blue is cool. It's almost like a Air Force truck. Really, really similar in color scheme. So it's going to look great with the other ones. Glad to have it. So what was this again? This is the 58. Oh yeah, so new. They went from single to quad headlights, just like on the Impala here. That was a big thing. So you could see how they updated their look in 58. So that's kind of cool. I got these together. I actually didn't really think about that until now. Both from that redesign period. Let's take a chapter in the book here real quick, just because I think it's interesting. It's kind of a cool book I got, and I got it bookmarked. You go in here, and they talk about the 1958 model year. So it's a good place to kind of gather facts, and they always talk about cool stuff. The good thing about this book is it does the whole truck lineup, so I can go all the way up to the heavy trucks, or if I'm trying to make a model of one, or like this is really cool. This is exactly what it would have looked like on delivery. The other thing I thought was nice is this is a kind of hard to find, but 3/4 ton, 1 ton. Look how much different the wheels and tires are. How it sits. So, and also they went to an 8-foot bed on this one, and they would be 6.5 feet. So thought that was kind of cool, and it carries over when we look at this C60. So we'll put that out one more time. Of course, if you don't like it, fast forward it, I guess. Alright, let's take a look at some other stuff. Before we get to the trailer sets and the race transporter, I got lucky, so I got 2 new to the market ones. One's a brand new casting, and one's like an updated casting on a gasser platform. So this was neat. I took this Jeep out earlier. They have a whole Maui series. You know, whatever they do with apparel or whatever. But the Jeep is cool, so they had a set on this with a truck. I think it was a Dodge Carrier truck, like a 600 Dodge truck or something like that. It's like straight job, and they had a racer's ramp on it. and it was a military set, like straight olive drab. But this was cool. It came with the surfboard, and it was a good car to pick up as a single to kind of get your eye on the casting, because I thought this would be interesting. There's a lot of these Jeeps that have been and come and gone. There's a lot of Matchbox ones, not very accurate. Relatively small casting, but it's definitely not like a Mini Cooper, like those Greenlight Mini Coopers. Those are crazily small, but that's what they were. This was decent. I mean, this was still made to carry 5 guys. I think 3, well, technically 4, but you know, they would carry whatever they could fit. But I think it was like a 4 or 5 place vehicle, so it wasn't too small, but very compact. Casting is great. They went all out. They did new tires. Wheels are not, you know, anything that's been done before. Definitely Jeep specific rim. You can see that wheel. I think they were 2-piece. Pretty sure. I can't remember. I know the heavier trucks were 2-piece wheels. We able to bust in tires off pretty quick in the field that way. Plus, you know, they weren't going that fast, so bouncing, I'm sure, wasn't the biggest issue. Do a lot of detail on this. This is fixed. This doesn't really come off. I don't think I took it off. I think it was glued on, so that's kind of glued in there. You can see the base here. It looks like for the antenna. So you can put like a whip antenna on there pretty good. Really, they kept the casting like the World War II. They even have the shovel. Blackout light, I believe that was, you know, you drove around with that so you didn't get seen. And then there's your, you know, they did the rearview mirror, which is good. This is all blacked out. That can be fixed. But the scale is really good. And separate windshield. So, one of the few recent ones. I mean, I was trying to allude. I mean, there really isn't an accurate 1/64th that's pretty cheap. I mean, I think there was more expensive ones out there in the past. But this is pretty good. Die-cast chassis, obviously. And, you know, you can see the bumper right here. It's all free. There's a lot of provisions for other things in the future with others. Single screw, and then just pops off the back, so I thought that was cool. We'll finally remove the surfboard. I think it needs to go somewhere else, probably in the shop. But yeah, I think it looks good and rolls nicely. Those tires. I'm not probably going to be like nuts with this and get every single one, but you know, if they come up with a cool paint scheme, I'll be down for a few more of those. Those are cool. Those will look good with the continuation. I mean, you can start with this and then have your other Wranglers behind it as a continuation. So I thought that was neat. Alright. Well, it doesn't really fit there. You put it to bed. That's too small. Here's the one that I've never had before. This is an older casting that they put a gasser chassis on. So older casting. Had to get that out for a minute. But it looks really cool. It has Studebaker livery. And it's red. Let's take a look. This is a part of a 5-pack. I think it was Auto Meats or whatever. It's not an exclusive to Walmart, so anywhere you can go, get it, find it. Want to do a set of 6. They don't double anything in M2. Usually they're always unique. I mean, obviously they'll throw a chase in there that'll replace a regular one. This looks pretty neat. Comes with acrylic case. There's just so much packaging on these things. I guess they're good to have because you can stack them at home if you don't take them out. And you don't necessarily have to have a shelf to display them. It just looks messy after that. So here it is. They made the hood fixed. A lot of when they're transitioning to gassers, I've noticed that the hood becomes fixed, and then they'll tool a different hood so they can put a blower through it. So you kind of lose that functionality. They put a lot of money into into this. Let's see if this is plastic. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to tell. It's a plastic base, but they put the big bars on. The traction bars. And the R2, so this body style came out in 1949. I only went to like 53 or 54, and then they switched to another body style, kind of based off this, but it was designated a different model. But I guess they were very popular for an economy pickup truck. They did go up to a 1-ton spec, even a 1.5 ton, I think, but spec on these. But this is probably denoting like a half ton. Half ton had the shorter bed, just like the domestics, other domestics back then. And, you know, the heavier ones would have the 8-foot associated with them. Good casting though by them too. Really, really good. Not any flaws on this. This is the first time I took it off the base though. See how it rolls. They were having some trouble with transitioning to the gasser chassis on some vehicles. This one seems to be pretty good. It's not their super huge slick, so that probably helps. And of course your straight axle front end. Big tube dumps. Look at that. So they obviously weren't be using the original engine. They didn't get V8s in these trucks, I guess, until 55. So this is a 50 model. It's a R2, right? Yeah. Or 2R, sorry. 2R truck, so 50. Only 2 inline 6s available. V8 was available later. They had some big 6-cylinder though. It's an L-head design. It's kind of like a flathead, sorta. It went up to 245 cubic inch, so that's not bad. It's pretty cool. I don't think this is metallic. It's always kind of, I don't know. It's rare to get a flat paint with them. I guess the blue Apache was flat paint too. So I like this. This is cool. I think we'll keep this around for a minute. Alright. Let's move on. I don't want to bore you too much. But we got to see the cars. It's all about the cars, isn't it? Okay. We're going to look at this trailer set. I really thought this was cool. Kind of popped out at me. Let's look at the package real quick. Obviously, we're going to taking this out of this package. You got 100 screws in there, but cool packaging. Crane's early design with the crane. So I thought that was nice. I like the vintage stuff. This one I don't think is an exclusive either. There's your distribution number. I like the back too. This would be a cool backdrop on a building, if you build a building or something. It's a nice large format. Plus this would look good inside like a, you know, if you're building a shop diorama. That looked pretty cool. So let's look at the model. You know, this is more in line with expecting what you're going to expect when you take them out of package. I know that there has to be more than 50% people that buy these cars, and I know a lot of them buy them and take them out like me, but it seems like more often than not people are leaving them in there, and they do look pretty in that acrylic with all the box art and stuff. But when you take this out, I mean, it's not even almost non-functional. 4-wheel drive wheels and tires. It's just on a 2-wheel drive chassis, so not a lot of clearance in there. It rolls, but it's struggling. So that needs to be changed out. On these Ford cabs that they always have, always misaligned doors, so it looks worse than it is. Actually, again, unlike most M2 castings, they're good, but you have to take them apart and clean them up. Past cabs, you know, if the door's not looking right, like especially this one, sag, big gap. Basically, you take truck part, there's arm in there, you have to be gentle with it and just use a persuasion, and basically you're going to change that door gap. If you want to see if the door fits real good first before you start bending it, take the door off, don't screw it back in, and then just seat it to the frame of the cab and see what it is. A lot of times you might want to clean up some flashing. That might be your issue more than just a bent door. But they're sending these like probably hotcakes out there running through it. So, you know, plow these parts and you got to make this vehicle pretty quickly. So, but it's there. It's just, this is kind of funny. And you got 4-wheel drive tires with white walls and all, you know, all the clashing and the typical. They do too much black wash. But they turn out good. I mean, let me just take out how boy it did. That grill can come out real nice. This one happened to have been white, but I mean, if you want to do chrome, you just gotta wipe it down. But underneath all that nonsense, you know, there's a decent grill under there. This is one I took from a 2-wheel drive and I made it a 4-wheel drive. I don't think I play with the doors on this at all, but it can turn out okay. You know, this one could look great. You know, I'd probably make it this. Probably put a 4-wheel drive chassis on it and just have it tow it. But okay, let's get to the other part of it. We've seen that cast before. You know, the bed was all crooked on that. I haven't taken this Mustang off. I really like this trailer. I think the tooling for the trailer stuff, the recent stuff from the trailer, and the ramp trucks that we've been looking at recently, I think they're great. The wheels and tires are awful. I'm sorry, but it's, you know, these are just too small. But this base is awesome. Let's get this Mustang off. I believe this is a 66 car. Yeah, 66 fastback. With these Mustangs, if you had good fabrication skills back then, because these were unit construction vehicles with subframe tying, you know, they'd have a kind of like a subframe sort of front in there, sort of. Okay, so this is like, well, these are the spacers. Wow. So a lot of glue. That's funny. So we're gonna see this. We're seeing this live because I'd never taken this thing off. Sometimes you get some trouble with these things. It left a screw in there, and a screw actually broke off in there. So what we'll do is, obviously we know we can take that out. So let's just pretend that it's not there for a minute. Let's take a look at this. So the plastic chassis is not doing these guys any favors, just because it seems like it gets bonded in there. I do like the red tinted windows. I mean, their Mustang body's not bad. I don't have too many M2 Mustangs, just didn't like the way they look, but certainly pretty decent. Thing about these cars, especially the fastback, you have to have this roof done. You know, it's delicate. These are thin here, and the curve is subtle, but it falls back. So, and then of course this triangle becomes accentuated if you get this all wrong. A lot of times these guys, the triangle down here gets too smushed or it's short. So this is all pretty good. Obviously the chassis, I'll fix that. Let's see. So this doesn't roll. So basically these tires are too close to the chassis. That needs to be addressed. It's got a straight axle front end. Rolls. Of course we'll never know because it's got that there for now. But alright, so let me get my hand out of here. It's not bad though. Close up of the Tampa work. Of course we got separate headlights. That kind of is good. That's hard to do. A lot of them pass on that, doing that. So, and when they do it, the headlights end up being too small. So getting the headlight buckets good on that's pretty good. Small bumper. I don't know if they'd run a bumper on a car like this. Who knows? I wouldn't certainly put one out there, but whatever. Maybe he's running a class that he can't do it. So stock interior, no roll cage or anything like that. No racing seats. So kind of there. You can always add that. Chassis could, you know, a lot of these cars they can be used for chassis parts. Hopefully they're starting to do them in singles, the gasser stuff. So you might get lucky and get these newer things without it. So crane cams Tampa on the bottom. It's got the wheel chocks. That's kind of cool. Since they make this out of plastic, they look very sharp in detail. Of course, this doesn't. This is supposed to be your landing gear. It's not very good. It's got a huge plunger down there. They have little buckets they fit into. You can see the post goes into this area right here. It's kind of interesting. So change the tires on this, wheels and rims, and take this off, and you're ready to rock. I mean, really. So this is pretty nice. This is what the setup looks like. They got a reverse drop hitch on that because they made it so low. So, not bad. Just needs a lot of work. So I don't know. Well, maybe I shouldn't put those two words together. Alright, this is the one I was looking for. And when we were looking at that Dodge tilt cab, I think that was the L600, whatever. We saw the Hurst one. I wanted the Edelbrock one just because I love this setup. Because I like the GMC Chevy cabs back then. This is 1967 is that they're denoting on the bottom. So first year for this front end. And actually we can look at our encyclopedia in a minute. This car came out pretty good. I did wanted to adjust the front. When I did that, I tore up the wheel. So these are replacement wheels. I have a big parts bin of M2 wheels. So same wheels. And what I did when I threw new wheels on, I put some detail on it. So I kind of made these like torque dust, the magnesiums. I just put a little gray in the center. So So make them look like those early lightweight wheels. I think the tires were thicker on the originals. So basically these are like the small gauge tires they put on the 50s cars, 1950s cars. These are new that I've seen from M2. These are like cheater type slicks. They're kind of like a thick heavy duty tire that they'd shaved down back then. Very heavy duty sidewall. So you can also get a little bit of life out of them, but you know, you can see how narrow they are. But they fit in there pretty good. They got those pie crust on the side there, you can see. Let's zoom in on that. I mean, the tires are actually really cool. That was a kind of a surprise of the set. You can kind of see them through the acrylic case, but it wasn't that great. So I think now that I've addressed the issues with how it rolled, they had the axle too long, and you know, these Novas, the fender does come down on them. So you have to have that wheel tucked in there correctly. So it didn't take too much. I didn't have to rebuild the car. I didn't even really take the chassis apart. Fixed hood again. They fix these hoods. I don't think this comes in. Yeah, this is. We knew that for sure now because I really pried on it. But riveted on probably or glued. You put that blower up there. You got your little tank up front for fuel. I think it's cool, and it's got the red windows. So decent casting of the Deuce Nova. Okay. The Chevy 2, really exceptional. I left the chassis stock on this, and you can see the issue. They have these kind of, what supposedly are probably mud flaps that they're running back here. Especially, it's important because when you run in an open deck trailer, especially, you ruin what's back there. Go through any type of water, but so it sits really low. You know, this is kind of a funny situation with this truck. It's weird that I think they tooled this up on these trucks, these longer chassis recently. And really what needs to be done, I didn't even have to go to the nonsense of having to fill this in like the last one. I'll just shim the attachment points with some plastic shim. And it should raise this up a little bit. That way it won't drag its ass. So we'll just say that we converted this truck to airbags, and we just lowered the rear end so the cars could get on. They put the tires on top, so they got this trough up here, and tires will fit in that, so that'll look good. But C60 cab with the racers ramp, I love it. I absolutely love it. Chrome, I mean the chrome and the red, the Edelbrock colors, I like that too. And the Nova's good. Love these cars, so that looks great. A lot of engine choices. And let's look at this, the box art too. So another 6,000 piece vehicle worldwide. Another cool background that can be added to a diorama. Alright, well, shall we just look in the... Let's just see what the encyclopedia says about this truck. Very interesting. 1967, first year. Look at that. There it is. Some cool stuff. You can take a screenshot. We don't have to go over that. But, you know, they've offered 6 cylinders on these a lot. Like this tilt cab, for instance. Look at these big sizes. Take a screenshot of that. Huge 6-cylinder, 416. Crazy. You can see big changes from 1966. Really, this was like their medium duty. And then went to this, which very handsome. And that coincided with the cab change on the pickup truck. So you can see right here. Went from that to that. So it's always good to have reference material. All right. You know, we went through a lot of M2, some good, some bad. You know, but they're all worthy of the collection, and some just need more attention than the others. So try to be kind to your diecast when you get it. You know, there's always good things to think about them sometimes. Hope you enjoyed it. I got a lot of Hot Wheels. I don't know if we should do it. Premium stuff. A lot of new things. You can see one of them's over there on my ramp truck. That's the one I built. So that's going to be my shop truck. Now that we're all ramped up around here and we got all these travel trailers and stuff, I think this one's going to be the MIG shop one. Blacktop the grill. But you gotta leave the chrome in there, by the way, because that's how they do it from the factory. The black guy put a little chrome in there. Well, till next time. Hope you enjoyed it. We got more to come, more to come. Thank you for watching and subscribing. All your thumbs up. Very much appreciated. Everyone stay well out there.